Hello everyone, welcome back to another interesting episode of CHAKDE Frontend Interviews. So today we have a very special guest, so Pawan Kumar. So we will be covering very in-depth JavaScript problem statement. So Pawan have around 8-9 years of experience working at Apollo.io. So we are blessed that we have Pawan over here basically giving the mock interview. So guys, this series is basically going to cover all the kind of a question that you can expect in a front-end interview, starting from a fresher to a very experienced people. And this is going to be live, hands-on experience for you. So it's not about just the problem statement, but how to tackle those problem statement is also going to cover. So please keep watching till the end. So before like wasting further time, let me call Pawan. Hey Pawan, how are you doing, man?
Hey, Chirag. Yeah, I'm doing great. Thanks for asking. How about you?
Yeah, doing great, man. Awesome. Good to see you in the morning. With that, why don't you introduce yourself? A quick one.
Sure. Hey, everyone. I'm Pavan. I have been dabbling with web technologies for past 9 years, and JavaScript, TypeScript, HTML, CSS. Those are my go-to tools. And yeah,
Awesome. So how about excitement? Like, are you excited for the today's?
yeah, absolutely. I don't know what's coming. I'm excited. I'll just take the problem as it comes. So yeah, looking forward for it.
Awesome. So with that, let's get started. So one of the toughest problem that we consider in JavaScript is handling promises, right? So what we are going to do, we are going to build a small thing on top of a like promise. So most of the time, what happens when we make any API call, like we are fetching any data and whatnot, there are issues that could happen because of the network failure or a temporary issue at a server. Probably the server is not up, or maybe there was many requests on the server, so it got timeout kind of a thing, right? So what
Yeah.
we wanted to implement a refetch. You can say with auto retry kind of a mechanism, where we can say, hey, so whenever there is a failure, I will try to like make a network call again and try to refetch, and there is a maximum retries, right? So I wanted to retry maybe 3 times if there is any like network glitches or network error that happen. So that is what we will try to make.
Got it. So this function assumes that there is a fetcher already. So are we using any external library or is it the browser fetch?
So you can consider to have a browser fetch also, that also works. I am completely okay.
Okay, absolutely fine. Okay, so I'll just get started with this.
Yeah.
Uh, I think just like fetch, our fetch also returns a promise. Here, I would like to return a promise. So, since I would be doing async await here, I am adding async here.
Mhm.
What I would want to try is let me see, maybe recursion. So this would be my function call. I would be sending a fetcher here and maximum retries.
Mhm.
So let's assume this is a function which has all its parameters and or it's a promise. Let's just directly execute it. So here it would have a new promise, and I would have it in a try catch block. And we got a maximum retry count here. We have a default value as 1, so it would at least try once. Uh, we would want to retry at least once, and let me throw an error. Let's retry count 3. In case maximum try count becomes 0, so what I'll basically do is I'll recursively call this with max retry count minus 1. Let me create a promise. If math dot random, so what here I'm trying to do is to basically resolve and reject based on the value we get from math dot random, so
Mhm.
that I can simulate failure scenarios and also retries work. Uh, if it is greater, let me resolve it. Else we'll reject the promise. Let me try this with P2. So I send in a promise here. I would also need a try catch here as well. Uh, so I'm not mocking fetch here, but I've created custom promises since I don't want to get into uh, fetches result.json and stuff like that. But since it's a promise, the mechanism should work as it is.
Sounds fair.
Let me just try to run the code. Okay. Number
So,
25.
do one thing. So the implementation that we have done, let's try that before we execute. Let's see what are the issues that we can figure it out in the implementation that we have.
Sure. So you mean to say function definition, whatever is
Yes.
created? Yeah. Let me fix the syntax error first. I think this one top level await is not working. Let me try to use then here. It would work without asking for this issue.
In case top level await doesn't work, what is the solution for that?
I
Like,
can wrap it.
chaining is one that you are trying to do, right? What is the other solution?
Yeah, I can wrap this into an ify basically.
Okay.
Let me do that then. So ify is an immediately invoked function,
Mhm.
which when we create the function, we immediately execute that function. So what happens is we can await that block.
Okay.
something like this, where I created this function A and immediately executed this function. So this would get the async part. And let me just try run this once.
Sure.
So what we are trying to do is we are awaiting a promise here.
Mhm.
Okay, but uh, let's get the result and return the result here.
Mhm.
And we are checking max retry count for the number of retries it would do.
Mhm.
And we are decrementing in catch, like when the promise fails,
Mhm.
it goes into the catch, and we are basically decrementing the count
Okay.
and sending it here. But I think with the subsequent uh, function calls, we would want to await and get the result here as well. So for suppose my first call fails,
Mhm.
it would go into this. This would auto retry with the same fetcher, and if this decrement the retry count, it will come here. It will return the result to the previous invocation of.
What does it will return? Like line number 6. What are you expecting the return statement to be?
So return statement would be whatever the promise returns.
Okay,
Uh,
let me put in other way. So the try that you have written, will that ever fail? The try block that you have, will it ever throw?
depends on the promise, my fetcher.
Double
So
check.
for
Double check. Will it ever throw?
wait,
So what is the data type of your fetcher? Like in this case, what you have created is I can understand, but what is the data type of fetcher?
data type of fetcher is a promise.
Okay. So in this case, just let me rectify. Your fetcher is a function that returns a promise.
Okay, okay, makes sense.
Yeah. So do consider that.
Yeah, let me then do something like this. So my fetcher is something which returns a promise.
Yeah.
So I'll execute this function, and here I get the promise, and so I think this would execute my promise. Let me do this with P1, since I know that P1 never fails, since I'm resolving P1 always. Mm, It says max retry count reached, which means that this is failing.
Hmm?
Let me debug. I think I'm calling this function, which would, and calling this again as well. So I need to pass in a function here which returns a promise. So I don't need to do this, like to invoke the function here itself. I'll just return this function directly as an argument, like pass this function as an argument directly, wherein it tries to execute the function and returns the result. So here I'm getting P1 as a result, which is this. Let me do something to actually simulate it in a real fashion. Let me pass max count here to the fetcher.
Hmm? Can you try with
Uh,
the second one? We will be able to see that, right? So add some console.log in that particular case so that we can see how many time it failed and how many in what occurrence actually it got successful, right?
okay.
So in which occurrence it got successful, we can try that out. So do you wanted to add a console.log over here or maybe where we are having the try catch above? So that
Yeah, I'll add it in there as well, or here, so that I can also see what's happening, what's getting returned. I'll definitely add it here. So in my try block, let me log in try block, and let me log my attempt count so that we know how many number of executions have happened.
sure,
And let me also log a random number here so that we know what's going to happen and if that happened or not.
sure.
Pass p2 here.
And maybe increase the number of retry to 5.
Yes, let's do that. Mm, so I think it went into the try block.
Mhm.
Random. Okay, I might have just directly logged the condition, which became false, so it rejected it. It went into the catch block for the first time. Like after the try block, went into the catch block, then again into the try block for the second call, recursive call to the function, and in there it went to uh, 2. So the random number was greater than 0.05, which returned true, and basically it returned the result which we printed, which is p2.
Yeah.
Yeah, so let me try to do something fancy here. I'll fail it in all the iterations based on the count here, and basically I won't use a random number here, but what I'll do is if this becomes here is my condition greater than 0, if it is 1, only then I'll resolve it, else I'll keep on rejecting this.
Okay, you brought to an interesting thing. Can you scroll down a bit?
Yeah, sure. Yeah, just give me a moment.
The line number where you have written this 22. So there are two lines. Can you hit enter after before the resolve so that resolve can come to the next line?
Yep, sure.
Okay. So right now we are not right now adding a curly braces to it.
Okay.
So we have resolve and we have a reject in the next line. So as you have not added the curly braces, it will only consider if condition to execute the resolve statement, not the reject statement.
That is true, but I think since uh, this is like an inline function within promise, I think it will both reject and resolve both.
Yeah,
So
that is what I wanted to understand. If you don't write it, so what will happen? In the other case, will resolve and reject both the statement will be executed or it will auto return from there?
I think it won't auto return. It would resolve first and then reject as well.
And
So
the reason is why it won't auto return.
basically, function execution only stops. with a return statement, or if it does not find anything, if it is like end of the function is reached.
Sounds good. Let's
Yeah.
move on.
Should
So,
we try that to see what happens?
yes, yes.
I think here what we are trying to do is on in the fourth call we are resolving and then rejecting. So ideally it should reject, and here we should get the output even in the fourth try. Let me reduce this count just so that there is less noise. Let me reduce it to 3 here.
Yeah.
We run again. So in try block, in catch, it rejected P2. In try block, in catch again for the second iteration, it rejected P2. In try block, and here result resolved P2. So here I can see that catch block was not, so the reject was not invoked. Once it got resolved, uh, it did not come into the catch block again.
Hmm. What could be the reason? So add console.log at 20.
Yeah, I was trying to do that. Let's see if the control goes here.
Yeah.
I believe control would definitely be going here,
Hmm.
but with promises, if we are getting resolve, I think it is ignoring the reject part or whatever comes first. Uh, but for the JavaScript execution, it would definitely go there. So
Let's check it out.
yeah, it is going here. It would be invoking this reject, but I think this would have been getting discarded.
Because you have already conveyed something, right? So you have already said, hey, I was successful. Now the control went from there. Now even you call it with another callback saying that, hey, I wanted to reject. There is no one who wanted to listen that, right?
Yes, yes. The
So
control has went.
I think we are good over here. Let's jump into the another problem statement. What do you say?
Yeah, absolutely.
Great. So let me clean it up. So I want everyone who is watching to actually try themselves this problem statement. This is very interesting problem statement, and this is going to help you to learn a lot. Okay, so now so we have seen like when we work on large data set, right? When we work on a lot of assets, lot of data basically on the UI, on everywhere, the biggest problem is like we have to optimize it. When we say optimize it, we have to cache it, right? So because we wanted to have those lookup and try to avoid the frequent network calls, probably, right? Now, whenever we talk about those caching, the biggest problem that comes with caching is like how much data, like the spaces, the memory is not infinite. So you can't actually keep on loading and keep on dumping on the UI where user may be active and may not be active. So if a user is not active and using the same tab for maybe a month, there are people who don't close the application, especially in B2B companies, right? In such cases, what we want a automatic, you can say, cache eviction, like we have in similar to Chrome. So we wanted to build a LRU cache. So what you have to
Okay,
help with building a LRU cache which have auto evict logic, not exactly like Chrome, but something similar to that.
okay, makes sense. Let me try that. Uh, so by LRU, you mean least recently used, right?
Yeah.
Something which is not used in the cache. We would.
So as simple as if I have to give you a simple example, you may be able to relate. So when we go to any kirana shop, right? So what generally happens, people, the most frequent things are kept near counter, and the things which are least used are actually in the godown, right? So similar
Yep.
kind of a thing, basically, Chrome or internal browser also try to do it. The things which are mostly used probably are kept in the RAM, and the things which are not used, either those are evicted, discarded altogether, or probably kept somewhere in the hard disk so that whenever needed in worst case can be looked up, right? So we wanted to evict it. Like we don't wanted to put in an extra store where even the time complexity is bigger, we can fetch it out. We don't want. So we wanted to evict it altogether. If customer is not asking for something, let's not keep in the shop.
Yeah, makes absolute sense. So I think how I would go about this problem is we with LRU we have to evict the cache. I think there has to be a constraint on mostly memory. Like this, for suppose I fix uh, like my cache uh, dictionary or cache object would store only say 10 MBs.
Mhm.
I don't exactly remember or know if there is a way to find in the runtime what is the memory of a variable. So let's consider for simplicity's sake, like this is my cache object, and I would have only 20 keys here.
Yeah, you
Something.
can go on count of a keys. So which is like, hey, I don't know, as you mentioned, the how long the values could be, basically the data could be, but the number of item that I wanted to keep into the store is fixed. So that is
Yeah.
the assumption that you can make.
Or suppose I make it 20. So what happens is uh, let me create a function called set cache where somebody sends their key value, an object with a key value. I try to store it in the cache. If object of keys cache greater than, so we can add and remove later as well. Let me try to, in my cache, what I'll do is I'll store a value, and when was this accessed, like something like uh, maybe let's name it time for now, read dot now. So I basically stored this value in the key with the time variable, whatever I encountered. Now it's time for us to basically prune the cache and limit it to 20 records only.
Okay.
So what I'll do is I'll first check how many keys we have in the cache. If my cache keys are greater than 20, I have to limit it to 20.
Mhm.
Else basically do nothing. So we are good with else. Here I have the cache keys, and I basically want to, anytime it reaches 21, it has to go back to 20. Uh, so basically I have to find the value with the least time here. This is like find the smallest number problem,
Mhm.
which we so I would convert this cache. I have this cache keys. This would be converted to an array essentially, where I can access each key to this and compare time from each object value,
Mhm.
and then basically based on that key I can directly use a delete operator.
Okay. Let's give a shot. Don't worry about the, like, even if you wanted to optimize the complexity for that, I will be happy to see that. But even you wanted to go with some brute force, let's go ahead.
Yeah, sure. So, we want LRU key here, whatever is the least. So let's consider the first one as the least. Now let me do a loop here. What we'll do is we'll check in the cache if LRU key dot time is greater than cache of my current key, which would be cache of I dot time. In this case, if I'm starting from 0, I think here I can start from 1 since we already have the first value here. So it will try to compare 0, 1, then 1, 2, 2, 3, things like that. And here what we'll do is if this is greater, uh, we'll set basically wait here. What we want is current cache key. So this will get the item on the first index of this in the first iteration, and I'm gonna check if this is, so I'll do LRU key equals current key, else this remains the same, like the first value is minimum only. So once this loop ends, what I can do is read something like this. Yep. Should I dry run it or let me?
Let's try to do a dry run.
Yep. I have a cache there. Okay. In set cache, I'm sending key value, and on that key, I'm setting the value whatever is passed, and I'm adding time.
Mhm.
So basically, I think the problem here is I'm not using least recently used. It is like when it got added. So least recently used could be with the access. We have not put a getter function here.
Mhm.
So basically, this time value would only, I'm creating this time value, but maybe somebody access. For suppose here it is like FIFO for first in first out, because we are not considering the access here.
Mhm. Yeah.
Here, what we do is we return cache of key if it is available. I think I'm ignoring that part that it is already available. I'm not doing that for now.
Mhm.
But what we'll do is in the cache of key dot time we'll do. So basically, whenever this gets accessed, we update the time here,
Mhm.
and then this value would be updated, and this would not be like FIFO eviction, but least recently used eviction.
Okay.
And here, we're getting all the keys, we're checking if it goes beyond. So we have no problems until there are 20 records, since this is the limit which we have put.
Mhm.
Right now, like we are dealing with not with the size, but with the size of the keys. Here I'm trying to figure out the key which was used at the earliest, whatever key which was accessed at the earliest. And basically, yeah, this is something we are trying to find the least number
Mhm.
or the least key here in this case. And we basically delete that key from the object. So we are back to 20 records.
Okay.
Uh, I think we can run it with, say, for suppose 3 keys.
Mhm.
Let me try. So after every operation, we can access the cache to see what is there in it. I'll send in an object. I could have very well have an object itself and taken out the key from it, but yeah, I think the data structure for now does not matter.
Okay, hold on. Before we write the test cases for this, I have few things to basically touch upon.
Sure.
One. So right now, the instance that you have created, so we have to understand one thing. I want it to be generic. When I say generic, so this is our LRU cache, which can be used by multiple people for multiple purposes, right? So
Okay.
you have a system where you have a mechanism to create a cache. So depending on the consumer, say suppose in the account page, I wanted to leverage some cache. In the product page, I wanted to leverage a cache. So this should be a generic method, generic way to leverage it, which isn't it. Reason being, you have a cache which is a
As
kind
a global object, yeah.
of instance and whatnot. So can we try to optimize that?
Yeah, sure. Let me uh, try to.
So you can expect cache size as an input also. Like why
Yeah,
to
yeah. I'm doing that as only.
sounds
This is my default. I'm just keeping in case we don't get. Let me. So here, uh, basically, let me mm, get everything here. So we have a cache here and functions to access cache here. Mm, let's try to return set cache and get cache.
what kind of a pattern we call to this particular way of writing the code?
So here, basically, we are getting the instance of this and
Are we
only
getting
return. Uh, so every time we call it, we would get a new, not an instant, but we what we are getting is basically getter and setter, and this cache is created inside the closure. So anytime we call it, we get a new cache ka object, which would only be accessed using the functions which we get.
got it? So you just mentioned it creates a closer. Uh, I get it. Go ahead.
Yeah. So basically, for my outside word, wherever I call this, I would get the set cache and get cache methods, and I would be able to set cache and get one individual value out of this cache object, and I can create a number of LRU caches.
Mhm.
Let me for suppose give it the value 5. So this would have maximum 5 objects, and I could do set cache here to basically set the cache. And let's try just to see first that it is working as the normal.
Sure.
So this should get me first value.
Mhm.
Cache.
I think the typo error.
Okay.
So
Yeah, I think I have to do cache key size here rather than cache keys. So here I'm getting, I have to do dot value because I'm getting the time which I don't require, which the user would not require or care about.
we let's try to see both of them. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to add some of the test cases, right? In
Sure.
this particular case, so what we can do, make it 1 2 3 for a simplicity. Make it 1 2 3. I'm going to add uh, again two cases, which is I'm going to set one again, then three again, and this is going to be one uh, updated, and this is going to be three updated, right? So this is what it is going to execute, and we are going to. So basically, in this particular case, we will try to fetch the maybe two over here. So we are going to fetch two things. We are going to fetch 1 and 2. This is what we will try to fetch, where the limit that we have is just, or probably I
Okay.
will keep it more simple, keep it 2. So you have just
Okay.
two items that can be stored. You are actually trying to set 3 items, where
Yep.
1 and 3 is getting updated over the period of time, and second is not getting updated. Like no one is actually trying to access the uh, tree in this particular case, right? So,
Yes.
or probably, let me see. We are saying recently used. So I will make it in this fashion. Just give me a second. We'll try to access first, then we'll try to access one, we'll try to access again, we'll try to access maybe two now. Let's see how it goes.
Got it. So our size is 2, and we are trying to set 1 2 3 1 3. Uh, so just a clarifying question.
Yeah.
Setting a cache is also like accessing it, or we only consider reads as accessing it?
Setting is override, isn't it? Which you are already doing. So if you go to your set method, so if I say you already have a key which is called one, and if you try to set that again, so it is going to update with the new timestamp, isn't it? Line number 16 does the exactly same thing.
Yes, yes, yes.
So you will ultimately have one occurrence of one, right? So
One
irrespective
key.
of how
Yes.
many time you try to set your key one, just have a latest one.
Yeah. Correct.
So just wanted to validate both the side of thing, which is your setting should also work properly. It should not happen like for same key there are multiple occurrences in the key. Ideally,
Yeah.
there shouldn't be, right? And second, when
Yeah.
we
Definitely.
fetch, we should only fetch the one. We should only fetch the one which are the in the latest consumption. The things which were not consumed from a long time, that should get evicted. So which is two in this particular case, right?
Yes.
You have
Yes.
three and one which is frequently getting access, and two is something which is not getting access from a quite long time. And as we have only limit for two of the cache size, then ideally when you try to access two, there should be
No value.
as an undefined, right? It says that hey, I don't have anything in my cache. So that is the expected outcome. Let's give a shot.
Yeah. Got it. Makes sense. I think here let me First check cache of keys there, because otherwise this would break.
Okay.
Let me return something like not found or something like that. Maybe I can also throw an error and do a
Maybe
try.
you can two things: the key and not found, so that we know what we couldn't
Is
find.
not found. Yeah, that makes sense. Key not found. And let's try to run this. So ideally, three should be available, one should be available, and but the last call two should not be available. Mm, So we get the updated value for 3u, we get updated value for 1u, again 1u, again 3u.
And you got the
We
value for two.
Yes, we also got value for 2. So I think had we missed something in terms of deleting the cache. The cache has all the 3 keys,
Just
whereas it
short, maybe some exception, or maybe the corner case.
yeah. If size greater than 3, which means that it allows 3 values. Okay, so we have 2. Okay, if cache is I forgot to add length here. Maybe it was never going inside this.
Mhm.
Okay, we got, I think it worked, but it worked in a way that 1 is not found and 2 is found.
Which is kinda weird.
Yes. So we set 1 first, then we set 2, and then we set 3.
Okay, maybe. So let's see if you can figure it out. So if you want, I can give you a hint, or if you wanted to give a shot, let's give a.
So while accessing, only if we do this, which means here what it tries to do is the current key. I don't meddle with the time, don't add the time here. Only on access I'm adding the key time, which means if something is never accessed, they won't have the key for time. Let me try run this. So if I set the cache for first value, it goes inside, does not set the time value since it's not accessed. My limit is 1. Say for suppose now I add this. What it should do is it should discard the second value right there
Which is correct.
without actually thinking, because uh, the time value is there's no basically both don't have any time value, and because none of them is accessed, but it it should not accept the second item since my cache size is 1.
Okay,
There
so
are
just one thing. You are doing something interesting over here, which is, say, suppose you have a cache size of one, right?
yep.
If you try to add the other value, second value, so you are first adding that value and then deleting that value. Don't you think?
Yes, yes. I'm blindly adding that value without checking if the cache has that space or not. My if condition can go here. Let's see, let me try to see if here what we do is, let's consider the new value as the least recently used value. I think what we are trying to do is we won't need to delete so would it not restrict if I think if there is keys dot length is greater than, and then I have to add here, rather than deleting, I'll have to add that new key. uh, Let me think it through first. So what I do in case if my size is 2, I already have two values, and the third value comes in. Don't I have to, even if the first value is not accessed, it becomes the least recently used, and I have to honor the second value? I think in that case it makes sense. Otherwise, there would never be the size. There would never be a case where I'm adding the values to the cache beyond the number of values, or I'm not replacing the values after my limit is hit.
Mhm. So basically what you're saying, deletion is something which is important. I agree, like you have to delete things, right? Example, as you said, I have already two different keys, now I'm putting a third key which is not there at all, and the limit is
Yes,
2. So the in the third
yes.
key, if you have to add, you have to figure it out the last recently used and you have to delete it, no doubt in that.
So in that case, let me just revert what I was trying to do and get it from there. So I'm adding irrespective of.
Fair enough. It's just that I blindly add it and then I will take a decision, either I have to delete it, and yes, then which one I have to.
Yeah, basically I'm not restricting the key addition because the other key would be least recently used, because whatever is coming in is new.
Fair enough. Let's consider that. Go ahead.
Yeah, otherwise I would never be able to add any keys at all.
But at the time of addition, don't you need a time?
I think if we are considering accessing the keys, then setting a key is not accessing a key, or is it?
Uh, Setting. So okay. So I'm setting five keys back to back to back. How
Okay.
you're going to take a decision? Because your logic at line number 33 is based on the time.
Yes.
You don't have time at all. I'm just bombarding. I'm just setting thousands of keys basically in the cache. So the actually irrespective of I'm fetching or setting the key, getting or the setting, there is a limit to the cache. Just two.
Yes. um, so basically we consider accessing the key as sorry, setting the key also as. So basically it is a combination of least recently used and wherever we are setting the switch. So for suppose we only do set, and we never get any keys. Even in that case, the cache should work.
Limit is always there, right? Because we have a cache limit, right? So limit is
Yes.
irrespective of you add the data or you try to fetch the data. I don't care. There is a limit that I can only have this much. Else, what will
No,
happen? People can
no, no.
miss.
The limit. Yeah, definitely. Limit is already there. So let's consider this. These statements are not there. Here, my limit is 2. I could have something like whenever I add 3, I could either remove 1, or because based on like this was created first, so I'm using FIFO here, since
No,
there's nothing.
before, right? Because the logic should be the same. The addition and the like fetching the data and setting the data. The logic should be same in terms of deletion, isn't it?
Here, see, if we are not reading the data at all, if I set 1, if I set 2, if I set 3, I'll have to set 3 and remove something which was created or accessed in that sense first. So if so, that would be this key 1 only.
Correct. Okay, let me give you a small hint over here. So the logic that you have written over here, which is set cache, setting is okay. So at the time of setting, you are taking care of, hey, if there is something which is old, which was not used or not set, as a matter of fact, the time which is older, let me remove it. But when you are getting the data,
Hmm.
do you have anything, any logic to do with, hey, I'm consistently accessing some data. I need to play something with a time or something. If yes, then you have
Uh,
to do something. Like, okay.
yeah. So when we are trying to get that particular key, this time is getting updated, which means that it would have the later time. Same way, if we are trying to set that same data again, are we updating the time? Yes, we are. We are updating the value and updating the time here as well. Let me peek into the cache.
Yeah. Try to check what do you have in cache. I think that will give a better visibility.
I'm returning the entire cache. My LRU is 2. Let me comment everything out here for a minute. So here I have 2 and 3.
One got
In
eliminated, which is fair enough.
Yes.
Let's peek
I,
up other two statement as well.
I'm introducing 1 and I'm accessing 3. So 2 should get eliminated ideally.
Is the case?
Yeah, I get 1U, which is this, and 3U. So now, this is interesting. Okay, I'm logging everything here. Whenever I'm trying to get 2, here I'm checking if 2 is here, else it returns the key. So my cache should not have the object for two key two, but it has it.
What would
Yes.
be the reason?
It got eliminated here, and whenever I
Eliminated of some JavaScript fundamental thing.
yeah, basically we are getting that key and deleting that from the cache ka object.
Okay, at the time of setting, there was no problem. So what I meant by line number 60, try to print line number 60.
Okay. Yeah, yeah, there was no problem
Mention it
after.
something like set successful or anything after set. Right? Now execute it. Setting was successful. Now, who changed this cache at the time?
No, I think setting is not successful. We get 2 and 3. I think what the problem I can see is the value of
Oh,
time.
yeah, set was not successful. 2 and 3 is there. I remember seeing it 1 U and 3 U something.
Yeah, yeah, we saw it. I think it is not deterministic because the time it gets created is exactly the same.
Ah, so maybe I got it. What you're actually having over here. Okay,
Yes,
let's do something interesting. So in this particular case, because you are using the time stamp and because it is looping around when it is created and not actually looping, it's having in the almost same millisecond, right? So which is
yes.
getting executed. Now, help me with one small thing over here. So
Hmm.
we are trying to do two things from the logic. One is you wanted to maintain an object so that the lookup is faster. And
Yes,
second, you are actually doing a for loop in order to get the one which is least, right? The one which
yes,
at the last.
yes.
So in this case, in order to optimize the space complexity, we screwed up the time complexity. Because if we have like 10,000 record that can be added, so every time you set or read, you have to basically like every write is like O of 1,000 n basically in this case. Yeah, 1,000 or 10,000, whatever it is, right? So can we use some other data structure to optimize this?
Let me
So what
think
is
of.
what is that data structure in JavaScript which helps you do with two things? One, the lookup is O of one, and second, it maintains the order. When I say order, the one which is at the last position probably or the first position in whatever way you wanted to see is actually the old one, isn't it? So which data structure helps you to achieve both the property in a single shot?
Uh, I think here also itself one got eliminated. Okay. Can you repeat your question again? Sorry, I missed it. So,
No worries. Let's try to understand.
yeah,
We have screwed up the time complexity in order to fix the space complexity, right?
yep,
So we are trying to do two things. One, you wanted to keep it as an object kind of a thing so that your lookup is of one. And second, you
yes,
wanted to maintain somewhere the order. So what I meant by a person who is standing last in the queue will not get maybe the benefit or will be eliminated, right? That's
yep.
how basically we consider. So is there any data structure which helps you to achieve both the thing, which do a O of one a lookup and maintain the order as well?
And maintain the order as well. So I have not extensively used map. There
Okay.
is a data structure called map.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, it I think when we iterate over it, it does. So it is O of one for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Accessing it is O of one for sure. But I'm not sure about the order, whether it maintains the order or not.
No worries, it do maintain. So that's the beauty of basically keeping a map, which actually gives the power of map and the array and object both. So where you complexity of one, and anytime you wanted to actually iterate through it, you can iterate in the same order. So that's a beauty that we get. Great. I think the implementation that you have is that is kind of going to work. It's just that the time problem that we have because it is
Yeah.
actually executing. Maybe one thing you can try it out. Let me help you on that.
I
Suppose you have in this particular case simple. stuff where you wanted to execute.
Hit on the next tick, basically.
You have two things. One is the data that you get, time in which you wanted to execute, right? Something like this. So consider example what you are doing over here. You're setting two things and just changing some of
Yeah,
this is what
makes
you
sense.
want, right? So, but again, it has few challenges always because set is also get is also some going to be interesting and complicated. So I'm just making a delta of a small interval over here.
Yeah, I think even zero would work, but the problem with this is these statements are sync.
We
So
can push all of them to us. Not a problem.
yeah, yeah, we basically return a promise from each of these, and after setting, like I could do await, 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 and then also do await, 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 await for the values,
Yes.
something like that.
Maybe if you're saying I just wanted to like be on the same page. So if I do this,
Yeah, let's do something like, even if it executes on the next tick, I think that should be fine, because otherwise we'll have to wait for 5 seconds for the value to set, and then 5 second and a second.
sounds done.
So
We can let's move on.
let's do something like, even
Sure.
even 1 second is enough to access all the values here.
Execute it. Let's see.
So here I have something like, uh, these get executed one after the other because of the timeout, and there
Maybe
should be a different value.
yeah. I just yeah. Let's see if this works.
Yep.
Now, so even if you make it 0 second, right, making it async, will that solve?
I think the value here is exactly the same. Exactly the same.
Because
Still.
irrespective of you keep it sync or async are also going to be executed at the same time, don't you think? One after the another in the same mode. So do it by once, maybe adding a delay of a small delta. Let's see if this works. Just give a shot.
Yeah, and let's add, so it will
So the
execute after.
time that we have added, the comparison of the time, the stamp that we are adding is definitely not working. So which we can see, right?
Yeah. What I was probably thinking was, I think, yeah, that would. I was thinking to add the length in the time, but that would have defeated the purpose when we set something and then try to access it just after immediately.
Yeah. There's always challenges to it.
Yeah, so here,
This will work, right? The one with the zero did not work. Reason being, you make it in a synchronous flow or asynchronous flow. All of them are going to execute at the same time. How does it matter, right? So it's just that hey, there are five people who are ready to work for you. It's just that hey, you come tomorrow. All of sudden tomorrow they came at the same time, right? So it's the same problem.
yeah, makes sense. I
Awesome.
think
Yeah.
there is something, still the value of both of the time stamps is exactly the same, even though there is a different delay in each one of those. There's something interesting happening here.
Okay. Let me quickly see. So set. Yeah, definitely need to look into that. So, especially talking about the time is something not a good parameter over here, right? Which is
Yeah, I think I get it.
which is tricky, right? So, which is all about precision, depending on the amount of job you are doing. All of these things basically come into the picture. With that, I think the approach I like it. So, let me give a quick feedback around what we have done. I think we are done with the sort of questions that I wanted to ask. So, couple of things which I really like, the kind of a way you break the problem statement and try to chip one thing at a time. The way you try to dry run the problem statement and try to come with the test cases in order to execute those problem statement, definitely those are some good things. But in terms of, if I have to say some improvement, probably like the things which can help you to achieve things in a better fashion. Like one of the example is map in this particular case, right?
Yeah.
You have saved your life in a very easy fashion. You don't have to get into all of these complications if we know the latest thing which exists basically in the Java. That could be probably one thing I will say. In terms of approach and everything, is fine enough. So basically, I want to ask everyone. So that was my feedback. If you have to give the feedback to Pawan, what will be your feedback? And on top of it, if you have to consider like Pawan, so do you wanted to select or reject Pawan? I will just leave it to you. Just put on the comment. I will be happy to see some interesting comments coming around and people sharing their thoughts. But overall, it was a very interesting discussion with you, Pawan. It didn't feel like an interview personally. It was a great discussion, which I felt. So what about you? So how was your experience?
I think, yeah, I really enjoyed both the problems. The way you were pitching in that if this works, this won't work. Can you try this? Can you try that? So it really pushed me to think of the corner cases very early on. Otherwise, like I would have coded, and then fell down. So it was a great exercise, I think, in this term. And thanks for sharing the feedback. I think feedback well taken. Like we should definitely use latest APIs or libraries which are available at our disposal. Like you said, map. So it's not about brute forcing or just reinventing the wheel or creating the algorithms yourself. Some things are sorted. We can build over the top of it, which is, yeah, I think good point made.
Awesome. So thanks a lot once again, Pawan. And please, whoever is watching, please do comment. How did you like this entire interview? Share it with your friend, and maybe if you're interested, ping in the comment that you wanted to give a mock interview.